Okay, so it's not 3 yet. I've been up for a while, but I've been busy. I've had a lot to do. So then I just sat down. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go endure some TikToks here for a minute and see what's going on. And I looked yesterday, and I've been looking for a couple days. I don't know what's jacked with my algorithm. It's so sucky. Oh my God. But I see a whole lot of, Lucifer's lover. Like she's just spiraling. I had to send some videos to Amy. It's like, like this is so wild. And when I talk about it, I think it sounds so crazy, but somebody's got to see like this is wild, especially somebody who understands like spiritual stuff, because I can totally see how she's like caught into the allure of the dark energy. And that energy is going to be a bitch slap, man. When it slaps back on people because of choosing the dark, like right now, like, yeah, it's gonna have a hard slap back, I think. We'll see. But energetically, you just you just gotta pay attention or learn about or whatever, because everything leads to something else. Like, uh, when I first was into spirituality, my first, I feel like, well, my first introduction was aliens, knowing aliens were real because I was talking to these beings. But that's where I also began to understand, oh, these aren't aliens. They aren't like monsters. They are like angels or advanced beings. These are beings that are trying to help us and tell us stuff if we listen. And but I would tell people aliens are real all the time because that's the only thing they understand. They only understand like devils and Satan, Lucifer, and they don't understand like even this girl. Like you have all these people who are tapping into Jesus all the time, coming directly from Jesus to give you that message. But how many of them are bringing the exact same message? And then you have, I don't know, people are tapping into all sorts of energies and beings and stuff. And there's so much dark energy right now. I swear there's so much. I feel like that end of my house is like a haunted movie. Like so fucking, it's just like over the top. And I feel like I don't even know. I swear to God. I'm in one of those things where everything is just so fucking weird, man. It's just so weird. It's like you're going and doing stuff, and it's like, I'm not even really here. Like sometimes I'll even start glitching. It's like, so am I gonna just all of a sudden disappear, but my energy's gonna be still here, and I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna keep going, like everything. I don't know. I have a bad habit of trying to figure out what's gonna happen. That is like the dark side of some of the things that I have that I think are positive. There's a dark side to everything. And definitely trying to solve the problems, like whatever the universe takes too long. Well, I've got this side. You could do this. You know what else you could do? You could do this, this, and this. And, I could get caught up in my own plans. And it's a struggle sometimes for me just to relax. That's why I talk about it so much. It's like, it's something that I work on. It's something that I focus on, is to make myself, relax, remember, that's where I think mantras and affirmations are helpful when you're trying to remind yourself. You got to use positive stuff to remind yourself of the things you're trying to change or adapt or reprogram or whatever. Because, this is a complete revamp of your mind. It's like a redo. And so anyways, it's it's a lot, and it's a lot of work, and a lot of people are like totally fighting it because they don't even have the awareness of, I don't know what this place is, what they're doing here, or any of that stuff. But there's a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about, so hold on. It seems like it's just like spinning around, and I just feel so strange. Everything feels strange. And in my bedroom, it's so fucking loud. Oh my God, it's so loud. And, oh, I wanted to say this because I'd seen this the other day and I thought it was interesting. So, because all these people are, I don't know, it's just like people are like, like popping off little thoughts and starting to put pieces together. And so you see more people talking about like the people going missing in the forest. And so one of the things that people have found, so the maps that show where all the people are going missing, if you overlay that over a map that shows all the underground cave system, it is like they're exactly the same. California, there is a lot more missing, and it doesn't like over here by where I don't know this part as well because I haven't driven through it, which, that whole thing is just weird anyways. All of the, everything about our reality and our place and stuff. Even I had seen a video where somebody was talking about it was raining fish on them. I was like, we don't know that we're not above each other. Like that one map I saw that showed that. We don't know. And another thing too about California, just think about how much of that DUMB things underground that they made. So where there wasn't natural, but that like Mount Shasta, like under all those mountain systems, like it's like not by accident that a giant lives in the mountain and has a door or window right over a water thing. I would think it's probably animals come to drink out of the water, and he probably has traps and stuff. He can just open his door, pull up a trap, and have food. And another thing too is people got to quit thinking like humans are out of the food cycle. Like we're in it too. Like all these other beings who eat us, it's like they're not doing something wrong. They're just surviving. And we are the ones who think like we're above the, what is that called? It's called something, cycle of life, the food cycle of life or something. But we're in there too. Anything that is over something else can take its life, and that's why as you grow into harmony, you grow into this other state of self, then you grow out of that need or that necessity to live off of something else, because that's the whole thing, even with the food and the plants and everything, because everything is alive. And then it goes into pulling free from even the concept of being flesh and blood, which moves you up into a little more idyllic state, but it is more of a state where you have more control of, because you understand of the illusion. But that doesn't mean like you can change the whole story. You change a story by changing your attitude. It's what you focus on. That's when the story changes, because you are changing it, because you are changing how you look at it. So it changes how the story represents itself in what your experience is. And so it's, it matters. And then, but all of it has learning. And it's so significant. Okay, let me think if I finished the other one. Okay, so the maps and the overlay and people starting to recognize, because, it is portals and stuff. But I said, like, there's people under us and stuff. And there's all sorts of realms. Like going into the water is dangerous. Like, it's like the people who just go mindlessly and do stuff, it's like you have no respect for life. You have no respect for what's bigger. And I think that is one of the things why they want to keep people minimal like that, because it puts you out of sync with the universe. Well, you got to be in sync with the universe. You got to give it respect. You got to give it gratitude. You got to give it acknowledgement. And the beings and stuff that are trying to do good. Like, I don't understand how some of these people are getting trapped into this doing bad. Like, it's crazy now, this stuff on Tyler Perry's coming out. Like, man, I don't know, for some reason, I don't know, I didn't see it coming. Then you hear these people are like, oh, he starts his big old careers like as a drag queen playing Medea, and then so there was all sorts of rumors and all sorts of stuff he would get taken down because he's kind of an Oprah. He's like got big money and a lot of power, and he had a thing for young black guys, apparently. And so people think this guy coming out on this live saying all this stuff is that he's not dropping his name because he's trying to get a payoff. But see, that's where all these things will be exposed. All these energies are switching. I mean, Tyler is going to be exposed because he has to be exposed. What he does with his exposure, I don't know. I mean, he could be in a lot of legal trouble. He could have always been doing it with adults, but he was just a sexual harasser. He's going to have to go through humility. And, he's going to have to take himself down off of his pedestal that he has his ego, thinking that he's above things. And he's going to have to... because everything to me, if you're real and you're authentic and you humble yourself, and you can recognize your own ignorance and, and people are here to make mistakes. Like if people really understood stuff on a spiritual level, they wouldn't be so judgy on each other, because it is, it's as part of the experience, it is like that judgment is what holds you, binds you down. It's like you need this judgment against other people because it helps you identify yourself. But it is like a step in development. And it's like this stage of development where I'll say like it's so primitive, like how people look at things, is it very much like seems like elementary to me, in a stage of development and to spiritual understanding or something. And when I had started, I started when I was super young, because they were talking to me when I first remember I was 3 years old. But they always show me back further. And I'm always a baby in a crib. So they were always been there and always talking to me. I've never been scared. And I've gotten good at telepathy because I've used it ever since I was a little kid. And then it was like they were always directing me. They were always showing me stuff. Because my mom, was super religious. So, we had to go to Sunday school and all that business. And so our faith has always, been important to her. I think that's one reason why she just kind of looks down at me. And it's weird. It's just has always been a thing. She's always been the wall that I bounce off of in regards to religion. And I got a lot of other judgment besides hers once I had left the church, left the respectful, what is that, label. Misnomer keeps coming into my mind. I don't know why. But I'd have to go look it up and try to put it together. But sometimes these words, it's just like I was going to say the words or whatever. And so it is, it is like a false, false label. I mean, even with Tyler Perry, sitting there thinking, well, he's always doing all this Christian stuff. And so, but even, if he's gay and he's fetishy, that's kind of like a Hollywood thing. Man, that keeps coming out. All these guys that were having suck-off parties or something. I don't know what the hell. They were into just I don't know. I think people get caught up in the naughtiness of some things. I think people get caught up in that energy of the naughtiness. It's alluring. And, just like this fucking lady who, she's Lucifer's lover now. And she's talking to him. And she takes his punishment. And now she's got Lilith involved. I don't know. They've got a throuple or something. And, but it's wild how these people, they all think that they're just, I don't know. I don't think these souls that represented a certain deity or something just stay playing that soul for eternity. I think that that's an aspect of them. Just like I said, I don't think Jesus would come back and be Jesus. Jesus, is far advanced. I mean, that's one thing, is all these people who look up to Jesus so much, they can be he could be their oversoul. They could have all come radiated from him and have a connection to him. And so when they go into meditation, they connect to that source, that power of him. But it's like he's more advanced, but he could, I guess, reach that height of enlightenment where he can express himself in multiple people at one time. I mean, we can all do all sorts of things. Like, that may not even seem like that crazy. Like, you know, it's just hard to... No, I know, like, everything comes from this expression out of this other energy, like source, but there's a source for where an energy comes from. Like how I say, like, there's a nucleus and then everything radiates out of it. And so, you know, the souls, but see, that's the thing is, some of this stuff is hard to explain, because I kind of always see that, like, it's an old hair commercial back from when I was a kid, and it would be a Clairol commercial, and this lady, she would always be, you know, she was so excited because she was Clairol and her hair was so great, and then she told somebody, and then they told somebody, and then they told somebody, and it just keeps going out, and it keeps growing really quick because each person who tells somebody makes it grow. And so it's kind of like that kind of thing, like an oversoul can go and express out. It's all about energy. And see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, we're all trying to work as souls on our energy, on our frequency, on our vibration, on our abilities of what we can do. You know, play a whole bunch of games at once and experience, and then be able to go in and focus on how many ever of them, you know, and that all depends too. Like, I mean, as an oversoul like that, he could be just totally watching a wide range, I would imagine. I guess maybe that's why they feel like they have a god over them or something. I don't know, but it would be that they're just a fractured segment, a fractal of the energy that is the source of where they express from. And so, yeah, Jesus could be like that kind of highest energy now, is he was transcending stuff long while ago, if he really even existed, if they based the character that they tried to create on a real person. But I know that there was a couple of other deities that they said that they were basing it on. So, but any of those ones, and everything is created by a person, and then for them to give this this concept and all these people to put energy into that, they can be creating that because they are coming together. You know, maybe they're making a Jesus collective or something, you know, and creating that energy. But it still would not be, it would be a different kind of energy. It would be a combination of them in creation of this energy rather than the energy like creating itself. Because see how I see it is like what we're going through here is, say, and you know, this is where it's hard to know what you are an expression of. And so, like that one lady in that QHHT thing, and she found, well, she's just asleep somewhere over in another galaxy somewhere else, that she's just in this playing a game. But there's all these different levels of this experience. And so I don't know, because some, you know, some can come in, it's all based on vibration and stuff. So I don't know. I have all these people like starseeds, light workers, like, you know, you could come from another planet, you could come from another, you could just come from the angelic realm, you can come from just source, you can come like all these different places you could come from. And so, wherever you're from, like, to me, when I think of myself, I think, like, I can something just pop up. They'll just pop up out of nowhere. A memory, and it's a memory from a different life, though. It's a memory, but you feel so connected to it. You feel that it is you. Like, you can feel that. And just like in soul connections and stuff, like, even things that don't make any sense, it's like, but you can't change the feeling inside. Even when the outside doesn't match, you can't change the feeling inside. And so it's like your soul knows stuff. and different connections and whatnot. And so to me, it feels like, you know, I went through different lives, which it seems like, I don't know, there's like some scattered ones, but it seems like that there was some really long ones or something. Like, I think that there was certain periods of time where we lived for a long time. And, it was a long while ago. And because I have some memories from ones that just seem like it was like more like ancient times or Egypt. But then I know that time isn't going in this linear kind of fashion like that. It's these pockets of time and experience. And so, you know, I don't know. It feels like it was a long time ago. Like, I've gone through a lot of different things. And because it feels like to me that I live in some other realm, in a higher realm, like I am a regular being somewhere else. And, and that I felt like that it was more like my family or something that was connected to me, that was talking to me from somewhere else. You know, because I always felt like these people who I was talking to cared about me. And I've always just talked regular. Like, I taught, like, I'm telling you, like, you could be sitting there, like, I could be in a room and people are talking and stuff, and I can be having a whole conversation inside of my head with these people, which I call them people, beings, whatever you want to call them. And so I don't know. That's probably one reason why sometimes I seem spacey, and I do go into these weird trances. It just is real easy to me to just space out, like where people would always tell me I was spacey. And then because I was jumpy, because somebody would start talking to me and it would be like, what? What? It was like you just woke me up from a dream. That's what it feels like. And so people would always be like, oh my God, you're so jumpy. God, you're so intense and stuff. And then I would always be like, am I intense? So am I intense? How do you know if you're really intense? Like, I could go into, you know, I was always trying to understand myself. And, but to me, so what is happening is that in this ascension, when you can define yourself as yourself, that you are breaking free. Like, like, say if you die and you are just, I don't know, it's something with these people with their, like, so attached to Jesus and stuff. And if they are just an expression coming from him, and then they would just go back and be back to a part of him, and that would be heaven to them, because they would go back to connection, to where they belong, to where they feel good. And being a representation of self, an identity, it doesn't have the same significance to them, because all souls, it's all different. But so that's why you can't get caught up in like the ascension, like, well, they're not doing the right things. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're not all supposed to be doing the same thing. For the people who are working on the ascension and are trying to connect, and like I had said too, when I connected, a big part was, besides the aliens, was the reincarnation. And that was where I had a big appreciation for Shirley MacLaine too, because she acknowledged that as the spiritual beings. Which, who is that? Was it Tyler Perry? No, I mean, not Tyler Perry. Tucker Carlson. He is doing interview after interview. He is there to spread some awareness, no doubt about it. But he has a certain following. But it's things that obviously that they feel that these people, because they've watched social media, they watch like in the comments and stuff, and so it's kind of like they know how to hit certain groups and to get them to wake up to stuff. And some of the stuff, you know, is just it's kind of hard. It's like harsh, man. It's like the strip and all that stuff. Hawaii, you're not even allowed to talk about that anymore. Like, there's so much stuff, man, and there's so much going on there still. The Congo, like, this is brutal times, man. So in Canada, like, fuck, the government's just putting people down like fucking puppies or something. It's fucking sick. And it's just so much. And it's all about people awakening and stuff. But the people, and it's all different levels, like I said. But the people who are here for ascension, the people who are here to become themselves, because that is like what ascension is to me, is you are becoming a self-identifying marker, a self-identifying soul. You're becoming yourself. And so whatever deity or wherever your oversoul, you would be in separation. So you would be like in an advancement working towards being able to express yourself out in a whole bunch of lives at once. But maybe that is what we do naturally anyways. And but it adds on more and more and more. The more you can do, the more, your energy becomes bigger and stronger and stuff. So you become more and more godlike, because look at how the beings are. They think you're God when you are an expression of self. And so essentially you're a God, because that is what they look at you as. But so to me, in this ascension, we come to identify ourselves and what we want, what we don't want, what we like, what we will, all everything that makes us us. And then advancing, and then, this pulling free from all of these identifying markers and religion and the way that other people look at things, and become true to how you see things and how you see the world. And it can be very destabilizing as you're going through it. And so, it's intense. It's like a lot of learning. You have to become more self-sufficient. You have to be able to let things roll off your back. You got to, one of the things that they were always telling me when I would be going through that is that for they know not what they do, And people can only understand what they can understand. And people only see what they're looking at, like a lot of different things. And so you just got to remind yourself, and quit giving your self-esteem over to people who, aren't paying attention anyways. You're doing it for you. You're doing it because you're lost in yourself. And so the more that you can identify yourself, and then plus let go of this whole concept of flesh and blood, and realizing, that you are the energy, however, like there seems to be steps towards it, where people think it's, well, they're angels and all this stuff. It's your energy, and it depends on the brightness and the vibration and stuff, and your vibration. And I've had so many weird conversations, like this one with this guy, I think it was yesterday or the day before. And he had, I guess it was the guy who did this video. I don't know, because they take other people's videos and start their own thing by taking other people's videos. So they make their whole content based on other people's content. So you never know who you're talking to. It's the most catfish world. And so the guy, he had the thing that was spraying, and I said something like, we're being fumigated. And then he starts telling me something like, like it's okay. You just got to accept it because it's the government or something. And I said, well, I don't consent. So I'm having this conversation. It seemed like I would feel like we were on like the same page or something. Only he was, I guess, thought you just don't stand up to the government. You just accept it or something. I'm not sure. But he was getting like, I don't know, mad or defensive or something. It was the weirdest thing. And then he started saying I was coming at him, because I said, well, I don't even remember. I said something about, well, we're not, we don't agree, or we're not on the same page or whatever. So whatever, good day, sir. And then that triggered him. And then he was like, you're the one coming at me. It's like, well, what am I coming at you? I thought we were agreeing on this stuff. I thought we were both agreeing that there is stuff being sprayed. And I don't know. Apparently, though, I guess he thinks it's okay. I don't even know. it was just strange. And I just kept thinking, well, this is because when we see words or we hear words, we already have it where it means a certain thing to us. And so we hear things, we don't all hear things the same. And it's just weird. It's like, that's why I say all the time, you only can understand what you can understand. And the things I say, people will put it into their understanding, and they may not have much reference, which makes it really limiting. But if they have some, then they can still hear it in different ways. And so it is, I don't know, to me, it's always just keep working on building your reference and stuff like that. And, in the spiritual community, which, it's so rocky. Anyways, like, you have to, I don't know. I was reading a lot of that stuff a long time ago. So I don't even know about the people nowadays, I mean, you got people telling you how to get candles and do black magic, and that's your spiritual control and manipulate and manifest and get a bunch of money because that's important. It's like, it's really wacky. And there was a girl who did the same thing as the guy, whatever the guy's name is that was coming out on Tyler Perry. This girl, she was coming out on something in the spiritual community that was real big. And she was like, I just don't want to say right now. He is doing all this stuff that's so inappropriate. Like, I don't even know what all he was doing, but he sounds like he's not here. She kept saying he's not presenting himself how he is in person. Is very different than how he presents himself online. And so, I was curious. I was like, I wonder who it is. It's like, there's so many of these, super spirit people. And I've thought, when I've heard a lot of them talking, I've thought, oh, this is shady. The way that they're always asking people for money, that really rubbed me the wrong way. And there's so many of them. And so many of them, like, pay them for their channeling, pay them for their knowledge, pay them for their psychic abilities, pay them for all the life coach, that they've done because they healed or woke up or something. But I don't think that they are all healed. I think that, they went through their dark night, and then, that just is the beginning. Like, that's just starting it. That isn't the end. It's the beginning. And so, I don't know. But, I've thought that spiritual community is, like, not representative of, those of us who have been living a spiritual life for a long time, because it's different. Like, I would never tell somebody you have to be vegan. If you want to raise your vibration, that's what you have to do. It's like, that is the whole thing is people got to learn to trust themselves, and your lessons come from self. People got to learn to trust inside them, to connect inside them. You don't tell somebody else what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And if they surrender, then that is a low vibration marriage right there. So it's toxic. No, I feel uncomfortable even saying that I know what's better for this girl who's struggling. And then we have all of these different people saying it. And it to me, it feels like, oh, this is like, fuck. She's struggling. She did surrender and say she was going, willingly. It's a very emotional day yesterday. It was not like the day before. And so a very emotional day yesterday. And she was taken to the hospital, and she is waiting for the next step. And she's really, struggling. It's really, anybody wants to send positive energy towards the hospital in Bellingham. I'm sure there's a lot of people in there struggling. Then she is, waiting for whatever is next. I mean, it could be today. It could be, it all depends on, whatever they're doing. But, she's really sad, and I'm sure she's really scared. And, but the thing is like, you got to push through that fear. You got to push through that stuff to break through to the other side. You know, to get to feeling better, you got to push through the darkness. You got to push through the pain. And so the one guy who the girl, she came out now. I guess it was, all these people are coming out. Nobody's hiding shit anymore. There's going to be more and more of this. It's just going to keep hitting back to back to back. People coming out because they get more comfortable when there's more people speaking out. So more people are going to keep speaking out. And so I was surprised who she's coming out on. I was surprised because I thought this guy, he comes off so soft-spoken, but he was a little too, I could see a lot of ego on some of his stuff. And I think he likes to do a lot of shirtless. His hair is about as long as mine, and it's real big and thick and wavy. So he's got this huge amount of hair, and he is likes to go shirtless. I don't know, when I see him, he seems like he would be kind of a small, tiny guy. I don't know. And he's a singer, and he's one of these vibration singers. But he's also, it seems like he's been a lot of things. I think if you follow a certain group in the spiritual community, that you probably have seen him and stuff. And I don't even know. And this spiritual group is going to fracture more and more and more. And I don't know where this is going to go, but the guy's name is Finnegan. I think it's Finnegan or Finnegan. And I think they call him Finn and stuff. But anyways, she's coming out. Like, I don't know what all he did. But, you know, he's not the same person as he pretends to be if you are around him. And he's, I don't know, misogynistic. No doesn't mean the same thing to him. So there's issues. And that's another thing too, is with these spiritual people, like when you start becoming, you know, really focused on yourself, like empty kind of relationships and empty kind of sexual, there's no gratification. It feels empty. It feels yucky. It makes you question. Because that is what everything is about, is questioning yourself and connecting to something higher than you, and trying to understand yourself. It's like micromanaging yourself. It's like breaking it all down to understand. It's like taking the little radio apart and getting all the parts out. So you're trying to completely understand yourself. And then as you put the parts back together, then you see how they work, and then you gain control. So much is about learning how to, you know, like override your emotions with logic, with being able to see things differently, to look at things differently, to not let your emotions take over. Because so many people, their emotions are taken over. That's why we have so many people who look like they're adults, but they're still children, raising children. And then dogs, man, the amount of videos I have seen of people bringing puppies to a lot of them bring them to their husbands, a lot of them to their kids, but all these Christmas puppies are just going like wild. And then the next 10 videos will be all these people dumping off their dogs. People are dumping off old dogs that cost too much for vet stuff. They just are, my stomach's just growling. Which I made a loaf of bread in the toaster oven. It came out so good. I was like, hell yeah. Because I love that crunchy crust. And the bread maker doesn't do it. The bread maker is way more of like the kind you like get at the store. It's way softer like that. And probably because that's how they make it. It's just a bunch of giant bread makers. They just put them all in there. And so, let me think what I was saying. So the girl, which girl? The girl who loves Lucifer. That girl who loves Lucifer. It has a thing too with the dark energy. with oh, my stomach is growling like crazy. It's the middle of the motherfucking night. Like, I just took some charcoal too. It was like, sometimes I feel like these parasite, like I feel like they're just dumping them on us and dumping them on us. Like, Stella is so sore. This is what will get me where I'll be thinking and thinking. God, that's clearing my throat all the time. Hold on. This is a fucking, I'm so sick of feeling like shit. So, my nose running and running, and then always being dried up like snot at the end of my nose, like when I was a little kid, you know, you go around. That's what it reminds me of. Only now, you know, you have more nose hairs and stuff. It could look all crazy. So, anyways, the girl who is tapped into the dark energy, and as the thing is that there is so much dark energy. Like, everybody has dark energy around them. Like, I think everybody has to get through the darkness to get to the light. I just think you just have to. It is, and like when you look at it like in the brain of like where they're talking and stuff, like I said, you have like it's like your viewfinder is these three eyes. One has internal vision, and these have a vision this is like the part you're birthed into, is, you know, like this Viewmaster thing or something. This is way to be able to see, which is trippy too, is all the different ways to be able to see. Confirmation, states of consciousness of, because, you know, just like this girl who I know who is struggling, it's trippy to be able to see somebody who is looking at life through such a strong lens that they are is so deep and thick and dark, and she's having such a hard time seeing through, and you know, it's very trapping. Like, the darkness can hold you captive, and people just don't realize, and it will make you not be able to see. And the darkness, to me, it's like right behind your third eye. It's like this space up in here. And that's why they're the loudest. I always see it like trying to get through a party. Like, you come in the door, and then it's all of the loudest part of the party. The darkest part, the most obnoxious part is right there. And that part you have to get through. That is kind of like the ego's party. And then that's where you have to get through that darkness to get to the back, where that is where the knowledge is. That is where the whispers are. That is where the energy of focus, the energy of the divine is back here. But you have to get through all the darkness. And that's where, to me, where all these people seem to be all trapped, especially these name droppers and stuff like that. Because that, to me, I don't know. I just find that strange about the name dropping. Like, they're trying to give more validity to what they say, which is ego. It's like, I'm going to speak my truth. Whoever believes it, believes it. Whoever doesn't, doesn't. I'm trying to make sure, you know, that there is this truth out there, a truth that was, you know, shunned and laughed at for a lot of years. And so now, seeing what's happening on the planet, I think that this stuff has value to other people, but it's all on timing. You know, it's out of my hands. I just know that I had strong guidance to go and talk about this stuff. And so, but I think it has value to people, because especially in this fake fucking spirituality, and just predators in this spirituality and stuff. But even when you look at other spirituality that was around a long time, there was predators. Like fucking, I don't know why Gandhi's coming in my head loud. I don't know if he was bad, but this guy, Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama, maybe that's who I'm not hearing him right. The Dalai Lama Like, fuck, that fucking dude wanting to stick his tongue in little kids' mouths. Oh, God. There's a lot of weird shit with him. Like, I've just seen more and more. And a lot of these different spiritual guru people, just like the religious people, they feed off people's faith. They take people's money and misdirect them. But just like all these new spiritual people, you know, oh, I've got your answers. Pay me and I'll give you your answers. It's like, that is so against, it's just like against spirituality. It's like, that is of the material, that is of control, that is, there's like, to me, is going against the laws of the universe. So, I don't know. But, you know, to me, it was like I always had these beings talking to me. And I was always in situations where they would give me other insights, other knowledge, which I always trusted them 100%. Like, there was 100% trust. Like, if I sat there in Sunday school and they started talking about Adam and Eve, and these people started telling me that that story wasn't true, and they started explaining it to me like on this science kind of version, explaining it to me. They were always explaining to me stuff like a science kind of. I think that is why they directed me towards science, so I would understand, because I understand a lot of what they're saying a lot of times, but it is a lot about science. I didn't ever think about that, because like we're always telling me science stuff, and but it was things I didn't understand. But boy, it sure gives you a different view as you go on. But anyways, so they told me, they would tell me these things, that all of the stuff that was in my present moment, the people who were in front of me, that they didn't know, that they were, their stories were false. But I always believed in my inner knowing, but the ones who were talking to me, and they were, I don't know. That was weird. I was just weird, really. Like, like there's a reason why I was so much a person who was marching to their own drummer. Why I was so misunderstood and people thought I was so strange. Because I really did not go with what was going on around me. I always went with what was inside of me. The voices that were talking to me and what they were telling me and showing me. And then when I would try and tell other people, it was like people could only understand things on this certain level. Just like when I left the church and I started saying, I believe in God, you know, just because I left the church, but people couldn't put that together. No, you don't believe in God, because if you believed in God, you'd be a Christian. And then I'd be like, well, what about the Catholics? Well, what about the Jews? What about this? What about, I would say all that. I would try and bring that up. And well, I know, like, most of the, you know, the groups, what are they called? The sects, they all think that they are right. Like, they fight with each other. That's what we got going on over in the Middle East and shit. People fight, you know, trying to control people through religion, and it's the opposite of what it's supposed to be. And it should bring, you know, to a different level, but that is the focus, where everybody is focused on this other thing instead of focusing. When you change your focus, you change the world. And all the people are focused on division, a hierarchy. They are irresponsible and angry. They're immature. They don't know how to handle their problems. They have a limited perspective, limited knowledge. They live in ignorance. They live in a blissful sense of being better than the other person and chasing things and trying to have more and make that their focus. And then also with all the toxic relationships, blaming other people and not taking responsibility for themselves. And my stomach is going crazy. Makes that charcoal. The beasts are in there. They're like, fuck you. Oh, we were just getting big. Oh, yeah, because I wanted to say that about Stella. So, because she's having all this pain and stuff. And they have been fogging the fuck out of us, man. I know people will be like, oh, well, it's the smoke because it always gets smoky at this time of the year. Or is it? No, it's different. And it is like a super cold. It's so chilling to the bone cold. And it's like this atmospheric, you can see it, you can smell it, you can breathe it, it can burn your eyes. It's not, I don't think it's smoke. And even when I went and looked at the weather thing to see the smoke thing, it wasn't even that high. And but the density of the fog. And then so Stella is, but see, the thing is with her, she'll go out and she will be real active. So she's feeling good. She'll be running. I mean, how do you get a dog to stop running? So she'll go out and run around, and then her hips will get really sore. And then he's such a harasser too. He just, oh my gosh, he is such a harasser. Yesterday that he went out and was viciously trying to bite the neighbor through the fence or something. I said, he tries to eat the fence. He bites the fence, bites holes in the fence. And because I was sitting there saying like he's feral or something. He goes completely insane. And so then she saw him yesterday doing that. And she's like, well, I was really scared he was going to bite me. You should bring him over for a play date because he keeps busting in through their gate. But I've been saying it for a while. He's been busting through their fence. I keep saying, you got to, put something down on your side. Because he just moves my stuff and just goes right through. And he can move rocks and like he's wild. He goes completely insane. And then... So she said she was going to put him down, but she was worried that he was going to go through and be mean to her dogs. I said, he's been going through there and with your dogs for a couple of weeks. So like he goes in and they just all bark at each other. There's any fighting, but he also backs down. To me, he's just super anxious. He's got anxiety disorder, and he always wants whatever Stella gets. So whenever she wants her medicine, he always wants some, and then it calms him down. So I think I'm going to keep giving him this CBD stuff anyways, because he's got anxiety. It's just so clear. He gets so freaked out, even when he was being so vicious when he got through to the other neighbor. But then once the neighbor caught him, because he was scared, like he's just so snappy, and he's got this vicious look on his face. And then when you just pick him up and just grab him, then he just is like sweet. Except for one day he did go up and try and bite my face off. And when I was picking him up, he goes wild. And I've been working. It is tiring. It's very exhausting. And then I think a lot of it has to do with like this frequency that we're being hit with, and the dark energy that is just, trying to, I don't know, survive or something. Like, to me, this girl, it's so trippy too. The one who's the Lucifer lover now, that she was all into Yeshua. Like, she was all into, I don't know. She's been all over the place with this shit. With her spiritual, that's why I say it's like a spiritual psychosis. And she's just bouncing all over the place. One day she's a witch, one day she's a Christian, one day she's breaking free from the Christian church because now she believes in Yeshua, no longer Jesus. It's like this whole thing, and all the time she'll have arguments with these people. And I think her whole platform originally was just, a chubby girl who was a really funny and friendly and happy, and she's just gone so dark and so divisive and hateful, and she's just says mean stuff, and it's wild. And then the way that she is interacting with this dark energy, and that she even, thinks that she's talking to the guy who's in charge of hell, was just like, I don't know. I just think you're tapping into a lot of dark energy. You are feeding a dark energy, and dark energy's feeding off of you. And I don't know how her thing is going to play out. It's weird. It's weird. Is she all of a sudden going to just collapse? And, it's the strangest thing. And I'm just seeing a whole bunch of different things play out on the internet. And then plus the obnoxiousness of the sell, and that part of these people, and the mindless. I can't believe how many people Like, you've got nothing to say, so you're just going to go out and do some lip syncing. You just got to make some kind of content, so you just got to go dance for a minute. And I don't know, it's strange. It's just like a desperation to it. And I don't know. I just don't understand it. It's something that people are chasing, and then when the lights come on, they're all going to be faced with that chase. So I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to feel a lot of humility and stuff, because they're going to see that weaker side of themselves, this desperation of trying to get something outside of themselves, trying to get approval, trying to get acceptance. And you just got to find those things inside of yourself. I saw this kid, he was just doing this video, and he was just saying about he wished he would have had, if he could have picked what he could have had his parents, if he could have had, he's not a parent, but if he could have his parents parent him the way he had wanted, he would have. And he is autistic, he said. And then I stopped right there, and then I read the comments, and the comments were all talking about something about swimming, but I was just hit with this idea of that the parents, every single kid, like I know, who knows how many, but they all have their own needs, their own special needs. Everybody has their own special way. So how could somebody expect a parent to be able to give each person exactly what they need? The expectation from the giver is out of sync with the receiver, because every kid, I mean, once you put it into a logical sense, how could you think like, well, my parents failed me because they didn't meet all my needs? And even when, especially when they had more siblings, it's like you've got all these people giving all this expectation that you got to make them feel better. You got to do this. They need you to be this way. They need you to be that way. Like, there's so many people pulling on you to define who you are, until you pull back and you say that I have to define myself. I'm sorry that you were hurt. I'm sorry that you were hurt. But it is, and it's not out of being heartless or cold. It's like, especially as on one sense of spirituality, that is what you're here for. You come to overcome. You come to champion yourself, to grow. And all of the things that happen are all lessons. Everything that happens, there is no like perfect life. There is no set great experience that has no issues, no learning or anything. I mean, what would be the point of coming? Well, Dolores Cannon says there's some people who come and just have a real dud of a life. They just come and exist, so that it's like a vacation life, which I don't know. I don't know any people who I just think like are living a vacation life. It seems like to me, everybody's got stuff going on, has got things that they're dealing with. Like, so I don't know. To me, I don't think, why would you come as a vacation spot to the darkest energy? Like, it's like, I'm going to go down to hell, just for some fun, and relaxation. It's like, this place is so heavy and so dark and so full of trauma and so full of mistrust and stuff. You can see why we have to step it up. Like, it is like we are transversing, we are stepping out of hell, a really dark, deep energy. But you have to take the steps yourself. You have to initiate your need, your want to be out of that dark energy. And see, that is a movement towards ascension. But ascension is the part of you that becomes your truest self, that becomes your self-identity, so that you can stay this self. So if you have pulled out from an oversoul, which to me, I would think any of the souls that are ascending, that are doing the ascension part of this, that they are not a part of just an oversoul. I guess you could. There could be some that are just like a big part of an oversoul, and they're trying to pull free. But I would think a lot of them are souls. Man, maybe that is it. Maybe there is a lot of souls that have have done it and have already become their own being. And so they're coming to help other people do that. And so you have people who have already done it who are here. And then there's people who are trying to pull free from their oversoul to become a separate individual, a separate sense of self, that they want to pull free from that, you know, being the teapot, that they want to enjoy being just a piece and go out and express and find their own self. Because, like I said, you can keep growing and growing and growing. Like all these different, you know, like the planet is a soul, which, you know, you think it would have to be a huge soul because it can have all these other souls come in and feed off of it. It's just so many different levels. So you can see that why you would want to keep growing and growing and growing, because that all of your experiences keep growing and growing and growing. And it's all an expression of the other thing. It all expresses out. So I don't know, becoming your own self-expression is valuable. Is, to me, what the ascension is about, is becoming a self-identified soul. And that's why it's all this work, but also it has to do with letting go of things and facing yourself, facing all these different aspects of yourself, facing all these different lives that you've lived, and acknowledging yourself as a soul, not just as the person who you are here, but this person, and see, and then you're a part of all the things that you are. You're not just a part of one, you're not just this being, even though this being will be the one that you would carry forward into the age of Aquarius. You would continue as this being. This being won't die off. But I still think that even the people who are dying, you know, leaving in that direction, that when they come over to the age of Aquarius, because there's going to be people who are going to come in through dying. They'll die and then they'll still be there. And the people who die, I think that they will stay the same person too. It's just like an exit to get to this other place that we're going into. It's kind of weird, because it is like, there's a whole thing about the living and the dead walking together that creates this heaven on earth. This thing is about to go. I don't know where I put the thingy. Oh well, just listen to a commercial. Oh, hold on, there it is. I'm gonna get that free commercial free thing. The other day I was gonna do it, and it popped up, and then I hit the wrong button. And I was like, okay, I'll do it next time. But then I keep on putting it off and putting it off. Now Wednesday is the next payday for me. And so now it's curious to see if my check will go in, because that would be my Social Security check. And so it'd be curious to see if that goes. And it's going to be curious to see what happens Monday at the banks. There's going to have to be some kind of effect if the because they wouldn't make a big thing about that they were the way that they keep going in as a group and leaving us out. And isn't that funny too, as how we have to keep giving money to these places? I don't know. There seems like a lot to it. And now Hunter's saying that he's going to leave because how he's being treated. He's going to go to a different country. And it's like, oh my gosh, look at how the Trump kids were treated throughout his presidency. And Hunter has been called out on his drug use and prostitution use. Well, it just isn't even the real guy anyways. So it's all just a show. But when you look at the absurdity of it, and you see, like, that's why I say that the one family was the catalyst, because then you got these people whining and complaining about this. It's like, all these other people went through way worse. What are you talking about? So anyways, there's so much that is going on. Like, I just can't believe that Monday it could go again and not have something big, which I saw a guy who was doing a video and he was saying about NESARA GESARA. And he went into his bank. He said that all these people are on NDAs and stuff and they can't say. But he went to Wells Fargo and they said they're completely changing the inside. They're taking down walls. They're changing the whole thing. And he was talking to a teller and saying something, and they were having like this coded conversation. And she said it will be a good Christmas. And so I just feel like that this is going to crash before Christmas. Like it is going to be like a Christmas gift to the world or something. Well, to Americans, but some won't see it. Some will be triggered by it because they're so attached to what money is that it's going to affect them. So anyways, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I just can't imagine that I mean, it just keeps going and falling more and more apart. It's like we're holding on to fragments. And there's supposed to be all these banks that close, like 65 branches or 650 branches or something at Bank of America. I think that was like 650. And then the person who was saying was like, so how many people you think work at all those? How many people are going to be affected right before Christmas? But see, that's the thing. It's going to be all these people losing their jobs and stuff. And I had told my daughter, because she wants to leave her job so bad, and I had told her, you know, everybody's going to be leaving them. Nobody's going to go to work. When nobody's getting paid, nobody's going to go to work. That's going to be a part of the collapse of our society, a part of it where we have to see nobody's really holding our world together. We have to want to hold our communities together. We've let it go. We've let other people take control. And so we have to feel the impact of that crash. And so I think that the money thing, then people won't go to work, so stores won't open. There won't be places, like nobody's going to take responsibility. I think it's going to kind of do that for a minute, just impact people. But I don't know. They could just, you know, open it right up and like, oh, here, you've got all this money. Don't worry about a thing. Like, I don't know. It all depends on how it goes. Like, because they are watching, you know, like they know that some of us are like at our wits' end. Like this is drug on and on and on so crazily. But, oh yeah, so I was talking about Stella and her sickness. So Stella, she'll go out there and she'll run around. And so then she'll be really hurting. And then, you know, like she's limping around, all limping yesterday and kind of whiny. And so the thing is that I'll notice that my joints will be hurting so bad. And that's where I was like, I don't know if we have some kind of connection, like energetically like that, or if it is like the chemicals are making me as sick as they're making her. Because that's what it seems like to me all the time. And I've thought that for a couple of years. It seems like that the chemicals affect her. I'll notice that she's having some issue, and I'll notice I'll be having the same issue. And I know some of these chemicals, they do something in, because our joints or something hold on to some of these chemicals that they put into us. Like they go into certain places and then they get stuck. And so it's so weird because like this, it's so weird because, you know, we're not flesh and blood. It's like a drawing. It's like a drawing, but because of what we're using to draw it with is making it not be functional. And so now we're going to draw it with a higher intensity color or something. So, but with this one, like all these chemicals or whatever, they get locked up in joints and stuff. And, you know, I have whatever, who knows. I'm sure, I mean, I know for a while they were testing me like for MS and stuff. I'm just glad I didn't get any of those diagnoses, because at the point where I would have gotten them, that it would have been, you know, I would have felt trapped. But going through all the tests and stuff, I saw like, look, I had a lot of shit. Like the proteins in my lungs. That is one of the things. It's like, just knowing the hips, there's just a lot of stuff I was fighting my own self. My body was fighting. And then they give these people like a diagnosis, and then they get them all on these pills, and they just make you sicker and sicker and sicker. And your body doesn't have time to fight back what it needs to do to heal. But even on this, so where they have all these chemicals like stuck in the joints and stuff, then it's like, then they can have these other ones come, and it's like your body attacks itself, and it's so painful. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so painful. And that's why I always feel like that's got to be what's going on with her too, because it's so painful and uncomfortable. And I don't know how to try all these different things of all trying to be natural, but it's it's a challenge because they're constantly hitting us with all this stuff. And that's why I said too that they know what they're doing way beyond 30 or 40 years. These people know what they're doing. And I don't know. I feel like it is, I bet you if you went back and watched all the original Planet of the Apes, I bet there's way more to our story of understanding in that. I remember when I watched it as a kid, and I was like, man, this is real. This is true. This is all real, this story. There's so many stories, and I think it probably was like these other beings. But there's always things that they would make stand out to me. Always be things that they would be teaching me or telling me. And it wasn't in alignment with what other people said. Even where people like would say, well, it's about science. It's about, evolution. It's the Big Bang and stuff. But then they would always tell me, no, it's not exactly like that. They would explain it different. Not to the point where I understood like about the Sumerian tablets, but then once that came into my awareness, then I could understand what they were saying because of the other information that I had had. So then I was like, oh, okay, this is what. So it's like lab. And they were lab creating people such a long while ago that now, these other people doing lab created people, like they try and copy these other advanced beings. It's like they're trying to become their own advanced beings, but they still have such limitation. And they have limitation because they have no respect for spirituality and no respect for universal law, for the universal magic, for how things are supposed to be, how things are supposed to run. They're all trying to interfere. And that to me is always like this primitive way of looking at things, like, like these girls who they're going to do a spell to get somebody to love them. It's like, well, why would you want to have somebody love you unless it was natural, unless it was because it was true, because it was based on something real? Why would you want to manipulate that just to have this person? And so that is a disconnect from the universe, a disconnect from yourself, a disconnect from your higher self, from your life plan. You're trying to control it, which that in turn becomes your story. That becomes your thing, is whatever you do to fight. It becomes what you do so that you can go then and see yourself, so you can understand yourself, because you grow from that. You see things, because there's always, people think that death is the end, but death is not. Death is where you go in and you review. You go in and you look at your life. You don't get away from your life. You have to go in and re-experience it. Like it's, all these different people who had these NDEs are always saying about this life review. Is like you go and then you see your life, but you feel it like you're watching it, but you feel it from the perspective of all the people you affected. So in the conversation where you saw yourself, then now you are seeing the perspective from the other person. So you see how you truly affected people. So there, you always have that. You have this thing of having to really see yourself. And I'm telling you, that is a drive to re-experience, to go and incarnate. Is that it's so wild too. is how everything is like really just light and movement, but then you can, it's like a still frame, and a still frame, and slow it all down and create experiences and vision and illusion. And so even when we leave from here, we go to another place that is more real than this place. And that is still another level of awareness. There is, because there's the part where, you know, as you express out, there's the part that is just, or is like the core. The core of it is the vibration of the music, that it creates the music, which is trippy because it always happens like this. There's this visual on this TV, how it switched, you know, and it went to a new tranquil energy. And this is like one of those ones where it's like something in the middle and it's coming out, coming out, coming out. It's like one of those ones kind of trippy, like if you were on some kind of, well, this can make you feel weird just looking at it. It's like hypnotic kind of thing, you know, it keeps going out and going out. But that is what the universe is like. It's like this, and how there's a tone too, but how it is an energetic expression that just bleeds out, and the bleeding out creates all of these different experiences. But it's all of us reflecting ourselves out as an energy, as a soul, as different states of consciousness, as creators, to express out, to feel. And then when you can go into these other kind of where you can say like realms or frequencies, like dimensions. And so it can hold that expression, like it can hold this expression, this dark density can hold this expression. And so like in the heavens, or what you want to think of, like where you go to the next one, it's a higher, but it can hold that expression. And I think that some of these beings, they try and go through all these different expressions, that all these different frequencies. They are trying to, I don't know, control. They're trying to control things, some of these beings. They're like the darkness, but I don't know that they can go up higher. Maybe that's why there's so much of them trying to keep so much energy contained, like where people think like they're talking to Archangel Michael and stuff like that. If it really is that they're talking to these patrollers that are here to patrol and keep us, and that they, you know, they keep people more in a limitation state, and to keep feeding this realm, this dark energetic realm. And but there's so much, man, there's so much with this dark energy, and so many people who tap into the dark energy. And I don't know, it's like their ego tells them like it's good, like that's a good thing. And I don't know, it's weird. It's like, why can't they tell the difference between the good and the dark and the light energy? Because it's different. The light energy is full of knowledge, but the knowledge will always come to you, where they will get the focus till you look at yourself. And maybe that, you know, like 3 years old, when I went in to get the soapy water. Well, I went in to get my brother that drink of water, and I put the soap in it. But that's when they were talking to me. It was so loud too. This is the time that I remember so strong, is when they were telling me not to do it, I was going to get in trouble. And I still did it. And then when I went out and I gave them the water and stuff, and I got in trouble. And then they started talking to me and telling me that they told me I was going to get in trouble, and they were explaining things to me. See, it would always be putting it back on me It wasn't like, see, you got asshole parents. And that is more like what the dark energy does. The dark energy, it would be more of like, see those assholes. You got to see, like, the dark energy is there for you to keep you separated. And the light energy puts you back towards responsibility of self to get things to, so, because that's where your real change happens, is when you change yourself. So the light energy will get you to focus on seeing the truth, seeing things from a different perspective. And it will always kind of gear you towards acceptance. Like, even, I swear to God, part of the thing when I'm going through with Jack, I know, is just because I was feeling so judgmental with all this shit with the dogs and seeing all this stuff, you know, like there's all these videos, these people turning their dogs over, and then all these new puppies coming into people's houses, and video after video after video with all these humane societies and rescuers saying that they're at a crisis point. They need people to come adopt these puppies. They're putting dogs to death and stuff. And I saw, like, I think it's the Netherlands, that there's no homeless dogs. Every dog is sheltered and cared for and fed. And then when I've gone to like Mexico or Costa Rica, they don't believe you should lock your dogs up. And the dogs just trot around and just live freely, which I also think that's good. Maybe, you know, as people putting out food for them, you know, and building relationships with all of the different dogs. I don't know. I'm sure that as things go forward, there'll be different communities set up in different ways, just like there is now. But, you know, I just know there's a better way than to just go and capture these things and take them to a place and put them to death. But I think that one of the reasons why they do that is because they use it for food. That's what I think. I think that they just recycle all this stuff and put it as food. Especially when I saw that thing about how they make bacon, and it's really, the meat is off of dogs. Ribs, not pigs. And the other day when I had that bacon and I made it, and I was like, oh God, because I was giving it to the dogs. It's like, bug. But any of this food, like the chickens, I'm sure are some kind of lab grown. They're weird. All of this stuff is weird. But really, when you go down to it, it's all always been weird. The reason we didn't think it was weird was because we were so caught up in the illusion. As soon as you start pulling free from the illusion and realize it's illusion, yeah, everything loses its, you know. But I have been making some really good food. Like, oh my gosh, the little toaster oven makes really good bread, but it also makes really good pizza. Oh my gosh, I've made some good pizzas. I'm really, I don't know. It's really good. Some of the ones, like I'll tell you this one I made yesterday, because I made a big batch of dough, and so I made a pizza with one of them, and you know, I split it up, and so with part of it I made a pizza, and I put cottage cheese. So I put cottage cheese down like a thin layer, and then with my oregano oil, so that's an infused oil where you put a bunch of oregano leaves, and then olive oil, and then you let it sit for a really long time, and it becomes infused, and it's really good for your health. So I put that, then a whole bunch of basil on top of that, and then cut up some green olives, cut up some sun-dried tomatoes, some green onions, and feta cheese and Parmesan cheese. And I think that was all. Yeah, I think, oh, and some jalapenos. I cut up some jalapenos on it. And then cooked it. And kind of, because I have this cast iron pie dish. And it works really good to cook these pizzas, even though I just ordered a bunch of little pizza pans. Because I do like to make pizza. And so the cast iron one, kind of, some of the dough, like this one yesterday, kind of went like deep dish. It was really, really good. And I always share them with the dogs. The dogs love the pizza too. And then I made a small French loaf, and it came out so good and so crunchy. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'll do that and give them to the neighbors. Because then my neighbor did give me, and they always give me a present. And this little nutcracker tin guy. You open his head and he's got a bunch of candies inside. And the candies, I don't know what kind they are, but they look like those Rocher, they're chocolate truffles. And those Rocher, whatever those ones are, I can't think of what they're, how you say them. But those ones I've seen under a microscope cut open. And they're so full of worms. It's like, oh. So when I had seen that shape, I was like, oh, I don't think I want to eat any of those right now. I was kind of save them or something. I don't know. Some of the stuff like, the cottage cheese, that's made by somebody else. The butter's made by somebody else. I try and think of all the different things, but even there's a whole thing coming out with the flour. So everything, it's like impossible to really get to where you can just make stuff that is healthy. I don't know. I think some people in some other countries, I think that they've gotten to have healthier food. But in America, it's like, fuck. And we're so sprayed and we're so, man, I just will be so glad once this is over. And I sure hope that this is the bank crashing week. I hope that tomorrow is like fucking dramatic and it crashes and Joe gets blamed, Joe gets taken down, there's all this drama, the other guy steps in and fucking turn off the power for a couple days. Who gives a fuck? Let people sit there and freak out for a couple days and then turn it back on, and then Merry Christmas to us, that everything that we thought was our life is taken down, all the trappings, all of the enslavement processes. Because to me, they're dismantling them right in front of people. But I don't know that, it really gets people talking about it. If really people understand. Seems like the people who are paying attention just live so much in fear. And, I don't know. There's so many more people just all the time talking about that one movie. And one of the things that I saw somebody say was at the very, very end, the last scene is a little girl. And I don't know if the red has something to do with it, but the picture on her behind the wall says something about everything being bad, but everything getting better or something. And people are saying there was a lot of spiritual things that were in the thing, because it is all about the awakening. I know that movie was about the awakening. And I saw freaking Julia Roberts on, this is just a little clip too that's on TikTok, on Fallon. And I mean, some of these people are so fucking sellouts, man. Ugh, it's like cringy. Fallon is like, dude, you are such a sellout. It's, I don't know. You can just tell. He's just trying to cover these people or something. I don't know. It's really, I don't know. Maybe just everything's a script. Maybe he really is scared that they're going to kill his family. Who knows? A lot of these people got themselves in too deep with some bad criminals. But the Julia Roberts and him talking, and about her interactions with Barack and him writing the story and how important it was that, because it's some other guy's book or something, and how he wanted to represent it. It's like, I don't even fucking know any of this. Like, for one thing, Barack, I don't think is even around. I don't think he's been on this planet for a couple of years. And so if you're talking to him, maybe you don't have any awareness. Like, are you that oblivious? Maybe you never met him, and so anybody could walk up and say they're Barack. I don't fucking know. It's but she just has such a fake persona. And then she also has like family, she's a big Hollywood family where there's other people in her family that are in the system of it. So then it's like, oh, that's always like, man, I don't know. Did your whole family sell their souls together or something? They all were like, I don't know. Or are they just a part of the birthing canal for Hollywood? I don't know. There's a lot of weird shit about the whole thing, which, I don't know. All the people have their own stuff to deal with. Like, whatever they've done, and some of these people, that's a bigger repercussion to me. That's a bigger ripple effect. When you're throwing a big stone in to cause a ripple to go in the wrong direction, then you're putting everything out of sync. And so you have to fix it. So to me, some of these people are causing like rifts and stuff. They're causing things to not flow right. And, to me, yeah, everybody's going to be held responsible for their own doings. I mean, that's the universal law. Nobody can fix you. Nobody can help you. Nobody can heal you, and nobody can carry your responsibilities. You have to be responsible for yourself. And you can see why it takes more of an advanced soul to even understand that they have to be responsible for themselves, because there is this childlike representation of all of these beings that are here right now who, they need a savior, and they need somebody to blame. They need a scapegoat. They need somebody who's going to tell them it's all going to be okay. It's just I can't even believe the fucking push. Okay, well, it's only 11 more months and then we'll have him back. It's like, this is wacky. Like, for one thing, the people who believe that, like, are you not paying attention to what's going on? And for the other people, it's just like, well, we'll just sit back. We got a few months, but he'll be back. It's like, and then you're putting all this pressure on this other person. And they're in the battle right now. This is the battle of who has got power. And and it's being shown, like it's being shown to us that how they can control and have the power even when they don't have power. They do it through manipulation and misinformation, control, bullying, and stuff. So it is, all that stuff is being shown to us. Is that, to me, is what the whole movie was about, was to show. And I don't know, who decided to make it, why they decided to make it. All I know is that the shit that they're talking about is already happening. And crazy enough, too, like the same day, they have that, the same day I saw the movie, then they have those deers at that, in those two places. And now a ship has gone into and hit into a ground, and all these things are falling off the ship. It hit into, I don't know what it is. It didn't hit into the land. It hit into another thing. There was like, I don't know, a dock or something. And at the top of my head, it feels like there is a rash all across here, which I feel like it's radiation burn. And I put a bunch of castor oil on it. Yesterday I kept putting castor oil, but it feels like these open wounds, like an open rash on top of my head, which I'm sure, I feel like my hair just keeps falling out. I feel like my hair hurts. Like when I try and brush it and comb it, it just, everything feels so uncomfortable. I am so ready for this shit to fucking change. And I hope once stuff starts changing, I hope that hurry with the med bed so we can start feeling better and stop feeling so sick. Just for them to stop spraying us, I think. But there's so much chemicals in the sky. Like, is that going to be a part of it with them? Well, I don't even know. I have no idea. It seems like there's so much chemicals in the sky. I had heard one thing is that all this spraying that's going on right now is trying to be the antidote to the chemicals that are up there. But there's so much sickness and stuff. So I don't know if that's pushing them down or if that is a complete made-up lie too. I don't know. It's kind of like you just got to go with the flow. You got to just go and see where it takes us and how things play out. And you got to trust that it's going in this direction that you want it to go, into a positive direction. And all the people who are feeling like it's going to go into a negative one, I think it's going to go into a negative one for them. It's going to, but it's going to be traumatic, like, because they're going to have to face these parts of themselves. So it's going to feel really low and hard. But I really feel like there's going to be a big sweep where things are going to start getting better for a lot of people. And I think it's all by how, you focus, what you pay attention to, and what you're doing with your vibration, how you're healing, and you're letting go of stuff. I mean, your life changes just by not getting involved in dramas and stuff. You know, so many people, their life was wrapped around dramas and trying to control others and fighting with people, fighting because you didn't do what they wanted, fighting because they didn't do what you wanted. And it's like, we've all got to let go of that stuff, because then, you know, what do we have to fight about? There's nothing for anybody to argue about when we take responsibility for how we feel and what we're going through, and not try and tell anybody else to change so that we can feel good. It's like, that doesn't make any sense, that you need to change everybody in the world so you can feel good. You got to figure out how to feel good, in the worst of circumstances. That's the kind of stuff like gurus would be teaching. Like, you can be in the worst circumstance, but you can take your mind and put it somewhere else so you don't experience the circumstance. And that is what you have so many of these spiritual people doing right now. Like, just burying their head in the sand, ignoring so many of the things that are going on. And then you have so many of these SJWs just diving headfirst into somebody else's business, not having any idea what they're doing or why they're doing it. Then you have all these different people being exposed, all these different situations. You have all this stuff being arrested. You have one horrific crime after another. Like, the amount of horrific crimes that are going on right now are just, you know, outlandish. Kids killing their parents, parents killing their kids. It's just horrible. Grandma shooting her baby, shooting her daughter's baby. It was like all sorts of horrific shit. Just go, 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 go. And that is all this purging. And it's all these different souls. It's their experience that they got to work out, work through. All these experiences have to play out. So, and all this dark energy has to be purged out. And then you have all these people who just hold on so tight to the dark energy. So see, it doesn't make any sense to me that the solar flash is going to happen now. Nobody's ready for that. It's like, we'll be more ready. I think it is. We are going to create it when we're ready. So we are creating the solar flash when we are ready. And so I think that it's up ahead. Like, it could be 2024. It could be 2025. I definitely think it's getting closer. It's definitely getting a lot closer. The more that people keep awakening, because that's the energy that's creating, I think, creating this big galactic storm that is around us, of this energy shift of everything changing. But I still think that we're going to have these situations that are going to happen that's going to redirect us. And in the redirecting, it's going to create so much confusion in people that is going to reverberate out to create the solar flash. But all of the instances that people are there to go through, that is all of the growing and learning to prepare them for the solar flash. And so, but not everybody is going to go through it in the same way. There's going to be a bunch of different ways. Is apparently there's going to be people who can just experience the whole thing, and it's going to be based on your vibration, just like how these solar flashes are coming in now, and how it just knocks some people down and takes some people out, and some people just spend all day crying and stuff. Like, I think the most things that I have felt before is felt dizzy, or felt like an intensity on the energy, where I felt like, fuck, thinking things feel really intense right now. And then even in interactions, like the dogs will be more intense, I'll be more snappy. Like, I can see that kind of thing, which with some people who are really unhealed and having to be in those relationships right now, that is to come up, to bring that stuff up, to, it's like you can't hide. You can't hide from yourself. And then everything you see about yourself, you know, is to learn to accept yourself, and to learn to accept yourself and grow and expand yourself, because then you learn to accept others, and it makes a more pleasant world. It makes a more productive environment, and that's what we're going into. But like I said, there's people who are going to be coming in from a different direction. So there's people who, I think, there's people who are already, like, if you listen to some of these QHHT things and stuff, there's people who are already on the age of Aquarius. They're already in that realm. They're already in that, because it is kind of like we're moving into more of a heavenly state of mind, where there is more peace. We're not focused on the fighting. We're not focused on dividing. We're not focused on trying to get other people to like us when we hate ourselves. And so it just is a natural momentum, a natural movement into a higher space of mind so that you can live in different kind of experience. That's all it is different experiences, different opportunities, different vacation spots, and moving out of this one that is so heavy and so dark, because the planet is the one who is sick of living in that darkness and the abuse. And so the planet is taking that step towards sovereignty, taking that step towards independent. Like, if you're not going to be taking care of me, then you can't be here anymore. And it's like a state of mind. Like, you can't hide from your intention. Your intention is who you are. And if you have poor intentions or dark intentions, then you need to go in and see where your dark attachments are, where this dark energy has got a hold on you. Most of it, to me, it seems like it's in trauma, that most people are trapped by trauma and that dark energy that holds them. And then, like this girl who, what I'm seeing is, it becomes a mistrust. You can't trust other people. People have hurt you, and you have to put down your guard. You know, even if you're going to get hurt again, you got to see the lessons behind it, because you are growing all the time and you're learning. And I know when you're going through the hardest ones, and people would tell me all the time, you're so strong. You're so strong. And be like, big fucking deal. Like, fuck. It's not helping. But I get it now. It is like, you are so strong. You can get through this stuff. And you do become stronger with everything you go through. And even when, you know, you fear something's going to happen, and then it happens. And then you fear the next thing's going to happen, and then it happens. And you are confirming or reaffirming to yourself that you can't trust people and stuff. There's still some lessons in there. There's something in there to help you break free, to help you, because it's your own prison that you've built, and you've got to remove the blockages. You've got to dismantle what holds you back, and so you have to recognize it. And every time stuff gets louder and louder and louder, just like all these things that are going on, just like Joe, it just gets louder and louder and louder. The obnoxiousness, the perversion, the mindless, the artificial. And it just blows my mind how many people just keep going into that energy. It's like, oh my God, doesn't it feel gross? Doesn't it feel gross that all these people are being killed and losing everything, and they don't have any money, and they're stressed out, and then you keep telling them that they need to go buy this thing? Oh, but go buy this. Oh, hurry, it's on sale. Go buy it. Hurry, hurry. And those are also triggers of some people. Some people hear that and they just are automatic response. Oh, that'll make me happy. I'm going to go buy that. That'll improve my life. And it's like, well, there's lessons. There's all lessons. But it's just crazy to see that energy just become so, it is like, it's becoming just so toxic. Like, I don't know what TikTok's future is like right now. To me, is like a fucking billboard after billboard after billboard. It's like, it's just sales. I haven't seen anything about any storms. And those storms were supposed to be so bad. I haven't seen anything in Florida, nothing in Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas, none of that. I haven't seen any of those videos. And nothing about any banking, nothing. I've seen two of the bank thing. The one guy who went into the Wells Fargo, and then the other guy who said it's been going since 11/25. I thought he said 22 or something. But anyways, so it's been going. The quantum system's been going for a while. I saw somebody else talking about that video, and then I thought that they said that it started just in the 11/25 that just occurred. So could be, but so there isn't a lot of people talking about that, which to me makes it be more hidden, because they're not talking anything. I guess I did see something about Bitcoin thing on the news clip. There's something going on with that, and that they're expecting some big crashes or something. And so all this stuff is really going, like, it's it's crashing. I mean, it's happening. The BRICS nation is, writing us out of another thing. So stuff is happening, but nobody, those are the things where you can't find any of these videos. There's not people talking about all this different stuff. So that to me makes it seem like, well, there's got to be something going on, especially with the storms and not seeing any of footage of that. And it's like, that's wild. So anyways, I think that they're manipulating and hiding information, of course, because that's what they always do. And so that could be that there could be a bunch of things, and they'll come out of left field for a lot of us because, that information's hidden. So hopefully this week is going to be a lot of left fielders and a lot of movement in the direction that we want to go. And, even if it is the crashes before it, because my check goes in, I'm going to run to the store, get some more stuff. It's like you constantly got to be ready because you don't know if the shit goes down, like, and the stores close and you can't go. I mean, because there's really going to be, who is going to go to work? Like, there could be, like, out here by where I'm at, and there's some small markets. And so the owners could go in, but then they are also going to be met with the challenge, well, what am I going to take for payment? But then if they don't open up and do something with food, like IOUs or something, then they are going to be open up to possible looting and other things. So it's going to be all individual how stuff is going to go. But there's going to be a lot of places where it's all people who have no connection, that this, Safeway didn't treat me right. Why would I go in and work for free? But then you could have people who are super dedicated who will show up at a store and take food for payment and help other people get food and do IOUs. And, it'll all be different things. It's all going to be different community unity building on all different levels. So some are going to just completely shatter and fall apart, while others will move in a positive direction. It's going to go in a bunch of different ways. And out here where I'm at, like, I have no idea. I think a lot of these people would come together and help one another, but I don't know. I mean, in some places too, they have instigators out there to create havoc and have things go in another direction. Plus, they can drop a storm on anybody at any time to create more chaos. So it's just kind of like you just got to go with the flow. But, to just have stuff so that you don't have to go out and endure the chaos. But who knows how long the chaos is going to last. And plus, I'm still focused on where it is that, my next stop. And it's so crazy, too, because my daughter keeps talking about this with me. And that's how I see it is, this is when things shift, like the bank thing is going to be big to me. Because, I've been preparing for that. And that's when there's going to be houses that are going to go really cheap. The housing market's going to just fall. And that will be the time, like, if you want to move to a certain place. But the thing is it's got to be with the universe. Like, when you're trying to force things, it usually doesn't go right. So you got to be like, the universe opens doors. The universe will direct you how to go. When you're trying to fight things and force things, it never goes right. And so, just if I took my money and ran down and tried to, this is, get a good bargain here and get this big ranch, then I'd probably get something. I'd be overwhelmed. I wouldn't be able to do it all. It would not be at the right place. There'd be some other thing that I would have to overcome. So to me, it's just, always waiting for them to open the door, to show me the way, to make it clear. And if things come up that they don't make clear, I'll ask for clarity. I'll say, and then usually I'll get a replay of something in my head, and it will give me like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, so I'm doing the right thing. I'm just, and you learn to trust your gut and stuff. Learn to trust your instincts, that when you're tuning into yourself, there, to see how you feel. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Go in deeper into your feelings. Go in to pursue understanding. And so it's just going in deeper, not staying on the surface, not being at a superficial level, and going into deeper understanding. It will help you. It'll help you grow. It'll help you change your attitude. So anyways, Now, now, man, it goes so fast all of a sudden. So I think, did I cover all the things I was going to say? I thought that that map thing was really interesting. I knew, I'm not at all surprised where these people are going missing, that there's caves going right straight up. I've always thought, like, people go out into the woods and stuff like that. I've always been like, man, that's other realms. That's other, there's other beings out there. There's other life forms. There's other existences. There's other shit going on. And that's a part of the ignorance, though, of the people who haven't woken up to that yet, to think like they just look at life in such a different level, such a pure, dependent existence. So, anyways, okay, I think that was all. So I'll get this one downloaded, because that's another thing too, is don't forget that different people's powers are going out. And so if I don't come and videotape, just assume that it's probably, our power went out or something, and I'll be back in a couple days. Sometimes when it's gone out, it's only been a couple hours. But anyways, I'll record if I can record. And but don't think like something happened just because if I don't record, because it probably is just like a power outage or something, because I think that we're all going to be experiencing that. I think that they were doing some big ones, I think even in India or Sri Lanka or something, that they put out all the power. And so they're going to be doing this kind of stuff, throughout this. So anyways, just keep in mind, as anything is going on, to not get caught up in the fear, not get that we're in a transition and we're headed to someplace different. We're trying to get to someplace really good. It's just a very momentous, exaggerated, and what is that called too? Because it's scenic. We're a very scenic route, so we're going through a lot to get where we're going, but there's a purpose to that. There's a purpose to growth. There's a purpose to letting go. And anyways, I feel like I just keep saying the same thing over and over. So I'll be back tomorrow, as long as the powers that be make it possible. So I'll talk to you then. Bye.